Alright, part 1 of the Blair Witch Project.
99.
It's
in-depth discussion, review, horror style. Our reviews are basically intended for like after you get done seeing the movie and you see some questionable parts in the movie and you're like, what the hell is that?
And besides, and if you want to find out
We
the
talk
movie if
about
you
the
haven't even
kills and
seen it.
shit. So yeah.
So let's break it down scene by scene.
What you would call it? Everyone like when this came out, everyone like 60% of the population thought this was real and shit.
This was still in like the 90s, like late 90s, so everybody had the dial-up, like internet.
Slow ass internet.
So it took like 2 hours just to like get to a homepage.
So no one can look it up to see if it was even
just to get to
true or not. That's why everyone thought it was real.
It'd take like 5 minutes to get to your own homepage, and then it'd take 5 minutes to search something, and then it'd take 5 minutes to get to that homepage of that website. So that's why nobody even knew that this was actually not even a real movie.
You could barely go to ESPN and then click on something else.
There's still people that think the Blair Witch Project is real.
Also because they came out with that, I used to think it was real because I was only like 11 when it came out.
Hey, he still thought it was real. I thought it was real too.
No,
for the longest time.
No, because also they came out with this documentary on the freaking Sci-Fi Channel. We had it. Oh, we didn't even have the movie. I saw this before I even...
documentary told like, went down around the town, so it made you believe that, hey, it's real.
Yeah, I know. They treat it like it was real and stuff, and of course when you're 11, 12...
Yeah, if you're like 11, 12, you're like,
with dial-up internet, you can't even research the shit if it tells
you're
it's
like,
true.
wow, this is real.
Alright, so let's jump in.
Alright, let's break it down scene by scene. Scene 1.
But they did a sweet job on that documentary.
I said scene 1. So it starts off with the
Artisan Films.
Artisan Films, and you like
logo.
And then it cuts to the people who
very low budget, of course, as we know. They even I heard like a documentary on it where they were saying that they filmed it. They like bought the camera from Best Buy and returned it after they got done filming this movie.
It's true.
Extremely low budget. So anyway,
still making money today.
No, then it made like over 250 million. Anyway, with the facts, let's talk about our opinions on the movie.
No.
So it opens up and then it shows the Blair Witch Project logo like in New Times New Roman lettering.
Black, and it's like in white letters, the Blair Witch Project. And then it's like, it tells it's all black still.
In October 1994,
films went out to film a documentary.
Burkittsville, Maryland, which was formerly Blair.
And they got lost, and then a year later.
Even this legend is a hoax or all fiction that they created.
No, at the bottom of the screen, it's like a beer later.
No, it's like a beer later. They freaking found the footage.
A year later, they found the weed.
That guy's tight.
Alright, so then freaking it cuts to the chick's freaking dome.
It starts out with their dome.
Heather, the Heather chick.
Alright, I'm gonna get this out of the way. She's butt ugly. No, you're probably a guy. Everyone that's probably watching this, though, probably thought she was hot or something.
No, they didn't.
If you grew up in the 90s,
yeah, in the 90s, they thought she was hot. Okay, anyway, so,
hardcore 90s.
So it cuts to the chick, like, saying the documentary crap, and then she shows, like, hey, we're going on a documentary, and they're all packing. And it shows, like, the Blair Witch book. She's like, we got the books, we got... And then she shows,
that part's tight.
No,
about the witch tail, the tall tales.
No, then they show the characters, the freaking Mikey guy.
Totally rented it from the library.
And then the freaking long-haired, like... rock, like 90s guy character, like freaking.
Oh no, this early 90s grunge character. He was like influenced by all the MTV music videos.
If he didn't have
from
a
the early
ponytail,
90s.
He'd have a mullet.
Right, so if it was the 80s, he'd have a mullet.
Alright, so then
but it's the 90s, so it's a ponytail guy.
They're on the road and they go to the chick. No, it cuts to the chick of the 16-year-old like waiter girl, and they're like.
No,
have you heard of the Blair Witch?
They're all saying nothing, loading up their car, and then they go to the grocery store scene.
Oh, yeah.
And then it cuts to...
Hold on, this is where we say 90% of this movie is filler. So, yeah, that's why I skipped all that, because, yeah, it just shows them going to the store, and they're just talking like, hey, we have marshmallows, eh? It's total filler. Anyways, and then finally, yeah, I'm saying it cuts to the movie part here.
Everyone
where
knows that.
They're interviewing the 16-year-old. And she's like...
Oh, yeah,
like,
so they decide to talk to, like, some 16...
And she's like, it sounds familiar. Oh, wait, she's like, oh, yeah.
She's like, my sister
goes to Blair High School. And you're like, oh, my goodness.
And it cuts away.
You're like, wow. It's just
you're like, so innocent. Just don't get the herpes before you're 18.
Anyway, so freaking no, and then it cuts to her. It cuts to freaking the Heather chick by the sign of the town, and it's like
No, it's a cemetery scene in Burkittsville. And
it's
that's
like,
when she's narrating.
yeah,
And she's like, a
narrating
lot
the
of
story.
kids have died here.
And
No
it's
one
like-
knows why. In
and
the
it's
40s,
like-
7
And
disappeared.
it's like Blair, 1824, but that's not the name of the town now.
Sign's
they changed the
iconic.
name. They changed the name to.
Back then it was Blair, now it's Burkittsville, Maryland. On the upper east coast of the U.S., of course.
Alright, so then it
So
cuts
she's
to her
interviewing
dome.
all the Snowtown, the in-town
No,
people, the small town.
before she interviews, she gets to her dome to Heather, and it's all in black and white. And she's like, "Yep." She's like, "People died here," and blah 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 blah. And then it cuts to the locals telling the stories.
Yeah, we know. That's what
I'm
I
just
said.
saying,
The
I'm
kids
just saying
died.
it's her ugly dome. Okay, so go on.
So they're interviewing all the townspeople.
It's like the freaking kid with the backwards hat, the papa, and then it's like it's like a little like. It's
Oh
like
yeah, there was always a kid in the 90s
like your
movie with
cousin
the
with your
backwards
little-
hat. That
it's
was
like
a
your-
hardcore trend.
It's like your cousin with like your little
Who wears a
daughter.
backwards hat nowadays? Rad movie reviews. It's the
I don't
only
know.
person I could think.
That kid who skateboards in your grade. He wears backwards hats.
So she's interviewing all of them, and that's when we hear the legend of an old hermit that killed 7
Oh yeah,
kids.
the
back
old
in
guy. The papa's like.
And they don't go in depth with it in the movie, but if you watch the documentary, it's badass how they do it, and they like.
Make you believe it's real.
Yeah, and he's like, someone told me to do it and shit. It's real footage from like a crime, I think, but it doesn't have anything to do with that town.
Anyway, so it cuts back to the other chick, and she's like, "Yeah, it actually happened. Yeah, she got killed. They put people up to a freaking. The hermit went up there. The chick went away, and then like she came back, and blah blah blah. But then she's like, "Yeah, it's real." And the little kid's like putting the hand to her mouth, like, "No," and she's like, "Yeah, it's not true." And then she's like, "It's true." And it's pretty funny.
And then she talks to another old guy, and she's like, "Do you believe in witchcraft?" He's like, "No." She's like, "Are you a religious man?"
Yeah.
And then it cuts away. That guy's probably dead now.
Definitely.
And
Okay,
then
so then it goes to
No, then they go to the white trash bitch's trailer.
Mary. They hear about the Mary chick who freaking actually has seen.
Play the
The Blair
freaking
Witch.
soundtrack.
Oh yeah, let's play the soundtrack. No,
Of
so then it
course,
cuts to
Mr.
Mary.
Creepshow forgot to play the freaking music the whole time because he's a dude.
Yeah, sorry, Eric Buthaler. Alright, so freaking we play.
Sorry, Nate Dunning's
Left
sack.
Alright, so let's
If
see.
you're listening, which you probably aren't.
So it cuts to Mary, and they want to freaking. She's the only one who's seen the Blair Witch. So they go to her house, and there's like sticks all like for the gate, and it's all creepy, you know, like she believes in witchcraft or something.
Oh yeah. Then they go driving away in the highway, and they're talking
we still gotta
about.
listen to what Mary said. Mary was like,
She tells the story about how the men went out searching for the girls that were missing in the woods, and
and then the Blair Witch came up on her and was like all furry, looking like a horse.
oh
or
yeah,
something.
she tells her story about how she saw, something
So then they're
basically
like,
like
"Alright."
an old witch in a cloak or something.
So then they think the chick's
the
no.
late
So then it cuts to
1600s.
no. It cuts the guys in the car driving away, and they're like, "Man, that chick's crazy." And she's
Oh
like,
yeah, then
she's like,
Heather's
yeah.
like,
She's like-
she
she's like
said
a-
she was a ballerina,
a scientist, an author,
and a historian.
and if you're watching this, you're like, "Yeah, right." She's nothing but a meth head.
Like she's one thing.
Anyways, so then freaking they're driving, and it cuts to them
She's only
freaking.
one thing.
No, it cuts to their dome shots.
No,
of
then
them
they
talking.
so
yeah,
then they
checking the
crack
map.
a sixer. They only
No,
buy
they're
a
checking the
sixer.
map. You know, all the dome shots. Them talking.
They're
goes
at
to
the hotel before
So
they
get
go out to the
hotel.
woods. The night before they go out to the woods.
So it's the hotel before they go out for the first time.
No,
in
then
the
he's
woods.
taking a swig of
like a pint, and she's like, "Pour me a shot." And she's like, "We don't have any weed." And you're like, "Wow, they don't have any weed."
You know those annoying girls that'll be like, "Where's the weed? Like, where's the free weed? Like at a party?"
You know those 16-year-olds at the party who'd be like, "Give me a beer."
And you're like, "Why?" So you take a hit and not even inhale it.
Anyway, so freaking so it cuts to them now finally leaving. It's all the wood shots and them going out there. And it's like, oh. And then it cuts to Heather, and she's
No,
like, no, and they go to Cove Rock. They go to
No,
Cove
no,
Rock.
they see the 3 fishermen.
Oh yeah, they go to the fisherman first. Who tell the story. Yeah.
It shows like a 10-second shot of them driving out in the woods. This is like the only creepy woods horror
Shots.
setting shots
like leading up to it.
leading up to it on the drive. It's pretty tight.
So then they stop and talk to a fisherman and his son. And the son's
No, they're
like,
two friends. They're like the same age. They're like two 50-year-old guys, and they were like talking about local legends.
Anyways, and it's
telling
like,
ghost
yeah.
stories.
And she's like, can we put your face on film? And he's like, I don't know about that. Oh, yeah, sure you can, sure.
What ghost stories do they say? They're like, oh, I saw something in the
No,
river
they're
one
totally-
day. And
they're
he was
totally-
like, yeah, a day you were drinking.
No, they're totally acting. Yeah, but he's like, I saw something floating in the river. It was
They're
like
acting
a
the
ghost.
whole time. And
And he's like, that was a day. He's like, that was a day you were drinking. He's like, I wasn't drinking. Alright, so no, and then it cuts to them and they're at Cove Rock. And she's telling the story, Heather is telling the story of how, like,
More
Oh.
scenery.
all the people were down there
Driving.
getting killed on that rock, like, and, like, stuff was engraved on them. But then when they came
No,
back,
they park the car.
bodies-
They
the
show them
bodies were
parking the
gone.
car, though. Where the locals bake out and shit. Like at 4 Mile.
so they park there and then they go to the Cove Rock and they tell that story. And then they're like, yep, the bodies were cleaned up in less than an hour.
That's the
Happened right
story
here.
about how the guys went searching for the Blair Witch and they all ended up bounded and with,
Gagged and bagged.
and witchcraft and
Oh,
thorns tied with thorns. And then they went to go and retrieve the bodies and the bodies were gone. That's an old story that they tell in the documentary. You gotta
So
see
then-
the Sticks and Stones documentary.
So then it shows all the wood shots and they're going to set up camp. And then it cuts to Heather. And she's like,
No, they're all clam baking their farts inside the one-man tent.
yeah, in the tent.
So that's like the first night, and they're setting up the
She's
tent.
like, I'm not allowed to smoke cigarettes in here, but you can fart.
I know. So they didn't bring any weed. They
And then
just,
you're like, freaking change your drawers.
and then it's like the next morning.
So
We got
next
2
morning-
minutes here, then we'll go to
We'll go to part two
two.
here. It's some of this part. So they wake up the next morning and freaking,
Looking at the map, and then they start hiking. They're looking for the place where the Blair Witch is from or whatnot.
mhm.
The local legend. No, then it's like Heather taking a piss. They just show that random. It's just like all improv.
No, also when they first leave the campsite in the morning, he's like finishing off the pint. It's like still a little bit of half, and you're like, wow, so all they brought out here from the hotel was a half a pint. And
She's
no
like,
weed.
we'll be there in 90 minutes by Heather's calculations on the map. And you're like, even though it's like a small woods in Maryland. No, then they're automatically already lost. And like, they're like, we're lost. Admit
Yep.
it that.
Heather's-
Admit that. And then the Mike, the freaking token meathead that they hired to be in it. We're lost. He's like the sound
And
guy.
then it cuts to the crossing the creek filler.
And he's like, yeah, I'll put my trust in a girl. And they all can't even read the map.
Alright, we'll cut back to that in part 2 of the Blair Witch Project. In-depth horror discussion review.